Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the viewers and all of the feedback and the messages that poured in after episode 1. It just gives us encouragement to make better content and better quality production. We are working very, very hard to bring you the best content that you can enjoy. On today's episode, we have Ludwig. Ludwig is a character that's larger than life. He has a very infectious personality, and you'll see it in this episode. He has grown in various disciplines. He's been an actor, he's been a water polo player, he's a bike rider, he played football in his earlier years, and then most recently moved from hospitality management into real estate, and then opening multiple real estate businesses and franchises, and successfully doing so as well, bringing up some amazing talent within the real estate world in Malta, and is continuously growing, continuously looking to do different things. So I would love you to join us on episode 2 and going through this journey with Ludwig. I am very excited to show you what we have in store for you on this podcast, so please enjoy, and thank you very much for watching. Episode 2. I am more nervous and excited for this episode than I was for the first filming, for a multitude of reasons. One is because my guest is a big personality, which is really hard to keep up with, and also because the first episode was so good. Seeing now the release, obviously there are definitely things we need to work on, but seeing the feedback from you as the viewers and all the messages, it was overwhelmingly positive. So thank you. I hope this episode keeps up with that standard. But moving on to my guest, Ludwig.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome on board.
Thank
I don't
you.
know how to introduce you. I don't know how to put you in a box because you have so many boxes that you are jumping from one to another all the time, and you're wearing so many hats. So
Way too much. 24 hours is not enough for me.
I don't think so. I definitely agree, because I've worked with you, I've worked alongside you, I've worked for you, I've worked to bring you on the podcast, and I don't know how you do it. Ludwig,
I don't know either, quite honestly.
It's insane.
But I manage.
Insane. So I will ask you a few questions to kick off, and then we'll just see where this takes us.
Okay.
It's an adventure.
Okay, an adventure.
You've done everything. You've done acting, you've worked in the hotel management, you've done water polo, you've done...
I played hockey.
You,
I
you,
played football.
you played hockey and football as well.
Yes.
You played hockey and football. This is how bad I am at research, by the way. You played hockey and football. You were the bearded lady on Estrina, I remember as well.
Yes.
And then you...
smallest dress ever.
Yes, and then yes, exactly. And then you moved into real estate, and you just created this massive explosion of business over the last God knows how many years. I'm gonna pass it over to you now, and I will shut up. Tell us about your journey. How you moved from professionally, right? Let's start from professionally. How you moved from the food and beverage industry and hotel management into real estate. What happened?
So, I started in hotel business when I was really young. So I was, as soon as I finished university, so it was 18? Yes, 18. 18 I started. Night receptionist, that's how I started.
Okay.
Because I wanted to keep control of it, because at night, you're the only person.
Okay.
There's no duty manager, there's no manager, so you have to deal with everything. And you know how I am. I like dealing with everything. I like solving the issues. I was always like that.
Okay.
Always. And then I moved myself up. I am not a person who can stay in a position for a long time, because I am very, how can I say? I'm always looking for the next challenge. Always looking. Hungry. I'm always hungry. It's never enough. So I move from one place to another, not necessarily one place to another, one position to another. I have to grow in the company that I'm working with, because I always treated it as it was my own, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
I always gave my 200%, if you know what I mean, in everything that I did. After 13 years in hotel management, because I ended up there in hotel management, It's too long. The podcast will be just on hotels if I start.
That's fair.
So
It's okay. Our last podcast, the first question took us 35 minutes to get through, so it's okay. Don't worry.
But if I start on hotels,
Let's beat that record.
Never stop. Never stop, because I was in Spain and I was in Russia,
Wow.
the coldest place on earth for me. Now, you know how I am. I feel hot in winter.
How was Russia?
As a place, it's gorgeous because it's different from what we know,
Right.
right? I had my wife with me, which thought it's not just the coldest place on earth, but it was also dull because I was there in winter. I love the architecture of it. The architecture of St. Petersburg is wow. Wow, because it was all built at once. So the architecture of it is incredibly beautiful.
There is no evolution. It's all the same.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. It's grey, it's true, but it's beautiful.
Grey isn't because of the weather.
The stone is grey.
I see. Okay.
You know, so, but it was amazing. But the cold I felt there, I've never felt in my life. You end up not feeling your nose, your lips, and be like, seriously. But anyway, and then I got redundant from my management position in Excelsior. It was the time of
my mom worked
recession.
with you there.
Yes, of course.
Like, I'm just trying to picture the timeline in my head of when that was. That was a
long time.
2008, 9, maybe.
Yeah, recession. So yes, 8, 9. And I was actually talking to a friend of mine, one of my, as we call them, the clicker, and he told me start in real estate. I was like, no, real estate, there's no wage. You know, I'm used to having a wage. He told me, but try. I was like, okay, I will. And back then, he wanted me to start with him, obviously. But coincidentally, the manager of letting of that time, of that particular company, was my wife's cousin. And he said, no family. I don't like to have family work.
Okay.
I was like, okay, no problem, fair enough. If it's a rule. So I started with, actually I didn't start. I went for interviews for another 2 real estate agencies. And one of them was Frank Sold. And I actually chose Frank Sold because I went to 3 interviews. So I was like, it's serious. It's good. You know?
They're picky on who they let in. Okay.
You know?
Get it.
And I started in letting. At the very beginning, I didn't find any help from colleagues, not management, colleagues. And you know how I am then. I was like, okay, no help, all out. And I was 6 years in a row top agent. So, no help.
He's not
I
lying.
don't.
He will definitely not lie about this 100%. Because I can see you being the top agents. Yes. Annoyingly enough.
Straight on. I was given targets, which I crushed because I love targets. I'm a target person, so I need to reach something.
Is it, when you say target, is it a number or could it be something as a vision? So a position.
I always wanted a position. I never got a position, but the numbers pushed me to reach them.
Okay.
And they were high numbers. Numbers that back then, was like, seriously, man, it's a bit too much. But I did it.
What was the driving force, apart from the target, right? What was the driving force behind getting up every day? So I have very little background in real estate. I did some real estate for maybe 6 months, so correct me. But getting up every day, looking at your listings, looking at your client base, which you form. This is maybe 4 years within the role, right? So looking at your listings, looking at what houses are available, and doing that on a daily basis, you know, advertising. Maybe social media wasn't that great.
Not that great. No.
Back then. Or maybe it was very emerging because Facebook was still fairly young and fairly dominant in the social media industry.
Yes.
So how do you what kept you going every day where you get up knowing you're making money for someone else because it's not your business really.
Okay.
Yes, you get commissions, but the majority of the commissions go to the franchise really, or arguably, depending.
Because it's true they get a biggest chunk, but knowing now when you own a real estate agency, the over costs fine.
Yeah.
So really and truly, no, an agent can actually make more.
Okay. So you've just changed my perspective on it, because I always thought
when you own an office, you're paying water, you're paying electricity, you're paying coffees, you're paying your PA or the admin, you're paying rents. Your commission will drastically crumble down.
That's fair.
So the costs are big. The costs are massive.
So
what is the drive?
What drove you to keep doing it every day? So yes, there's targets, but what else?
So when I started at the very, very beginning in real estate, I was building my property with my wife back then, who was pregnant with my first child. Can you imagine being jobless while you're building a property while your wife is pregnant already? It was crazy. So what actually drove me back then is, hey, I'm building a property, so the costs are ridiculous, as you know.
Yeah.
I'm building a family, I'm growing a family, I have to make money.
Yeah.
And quick.
And it's interesting you say, because and it was your first child, so it was your first experience of becoming a dad or about to become one. And I had the same level of panic.
Yes.
Even though I was employed, I was getting a salary, but knowing that my partner my partner is going on maternity leave, and I wanted my partner to make sure that she had the longest maternity leave possible that she could take. And that's why I got into real estate back then, and I worked with you for a bit. But it was that initially panic, but then it turned into a really awesome experience because I'm doing something that is, there was the wind of the imminent adventure coming of being a parent, right? And the financial burden that comes with it.
Massive one, yes.
I was still getting a salary, fair play, but I was like, I won't be able to, we won't be able to maintain the lifestyle we have with just one salary or even pay the bills. So that's interesting to say that you had that driving, you had no choice.
I didn't have a choice, because for me, you know me, the challenge pushed me further. Not a panic. It panics me, yes, but the challenge was bigger. So it was a double target.
Let's get into that, because I did something very recently. Like I've always been naturally an anxious person, and I was listening to a podcast probably around 6 months ago, where this person talked about that feeling of anxiety, transforming it into forward motion, forward force. And it resonated with me, because whenever I started feeling anxious, even if I'm starting a new job or if I'm doing a big project, like something like this, I managed to transform that.
Exactly.
And I realized that that's a skill that I had to train myself to do.
And it is a skill, because I am an anxious person.
So how was your journey in learning that skill and refining it?
Let me tell you, sometimes when you're actually panicking, when you're anxious about something, it puts you in a position, and you will understand this because you get anxious as well. It puts you in a position where, if I had to describe my brain, it is all boxes. My brain is boxes. So I put files in those boxes. So when I panic, and I do not show it, I might show it in my face, because it does show. I turn red, I frown a lot. I'm a person who frowns a lot. My wife points it out a lot.
I'm sure she does. If
she points it out, I frown. And even my bestest of friends, they tell me, stop frowning. But it's natural, because I'll be thinking, and when I'm in that panic, that anxiety, I think, okay, what am I going to do? Step by step. Okay? And sometimes I actually try and think of the outcome when I'm actually panicking. But it's a bit complicated. But I live for that moment. So I might be, and I say this to my wife a lot, sometimes I wake up in the morning tired. Why? Because my brain keeps going.
Racing.
Keeps going, putting files in those boxes and see how I'm going to get out of it. I sometimes push myself to the negative side, but I always try and pull myself back to the positive side, which is not always easy. Not always easy. I'm very lucky,
and I'm sure
I have the wife I have as well. So,
and I'm sure it's shared. You mentioned that the having a partner that supports you through it is very important. Absolutely, and I think my partner as well understands anxiety to a certain extent, because everyone has different levels of anxiety. Everyone has different backgrounds, and I don't think I would never judge anyone for having chronic anxiety or not being able to control it, because the waves at which it comes is very different.
Yes.
But you talked about pulling back out of the negative side and waking up tired.
Yeah.
How do you operate when you wake up tired from anxieties? Because you still have to go to work, right?
Yes. The thing is this, I'm not a very morning person, first of all. I'm not a morning person. But I close myself sometimes. So my wife is always telling me, open up, talk. I don't like talking about it. I'd rather solve the issue myself rather than asking people to help me get out of the spaghetti bowl. You know what I mean?
Yes, I like the analogy.
So I would rather line the spaghetti one by one myself, and then I'll discuss it after I solved it, rather than asking help, which is bad. It's not something that is really, really good, because everyone needs help. I try not to get help. I try not to, but I've been in so many ups and downs in my life that I believe that if I get out of it myself, that will be an experience that will make me stronger. And it did.
I agree with that, because I as you know, I've recently moved from one job to another, and I had been 13 years with my previous employer. It was an awesome career. Like, I really enjoyed it. As you said, I never stayed in one place at a time. I was every 2 years, every year and a half, I was changing roles. I had met some really amazing people, had really great mentors that taught me so much. And then in between that, I was jobless for a good I was jobless for a week, really, but knowing I was going to leave about 3 months before, did stir up some panic, even though I feel I'm very confident in my skills and my abilities. But I have a very good friend of mine who's also a very big mentor at work, and he will know if he watches this podcast what I'm talking about. He told me, you are the least and the most confident person I know. Because I'm confident when I know what I need to do. I'm confident, but when I have a shred of doubt, I will self-criticize myself to the point where I become nothing. I make myself smaller than I should.
Yes, you try and break yourself.
But then when I'm confident, I am obnoxious as well. So there's no middle ground. I'm absolute, unfortunately.
I've learned so much in my life. How to deal with people when I'm anxious.
We'll get into that in a second, because I want to talk about you as the riddle of who you are and why you are so charismatic and such a good salesperson, because you are, and it's been proven by your track record. But we were I forgot what we were talking about for a second. Just the train left my head.
As you break your down into smaller pieces.
And I'm not asking for help. So I'm the opposite. So when I'm anxious about something and I want to resolve a situation, the first thing I do is I look around for, let's talk about work, right? I look around for my resource, my human resource.
Okay.
Not HR, I'm talking about the people.
Someone you can put your shoulder.
It could be my mentor. It
your
could
head
be
on the shoulder.
Whatever. It could be my mentor. It could be my manager. It could be people within my team, my peers.
Okay.
And I try and figure out, okay, how are we going to solve this problem together? Because if I try and solve it myself, I'm going to fuck it up. I know.
Yes, so.
That's how I think, because I fucked so many things up that I have to then fix.
Okay.
This is where my self-critical comes in. But I also fuck a lot of stuff. But that's how I learn. I'm very, we were talking before the podcast, I'm very agile in the way I operate. So it's very interesting that you are the opposite in terms of how you operate.
How you deal with the anxiety of it.
Because I would love to be like you, where I will just close down and get into focus mode. So how do you do it?
It's not very easy.
I know, I can't do it.
It's not easy.
So how do you do it?
You know, my wife sometimes, I always mention my wife now, I tell you why, because she's a strong person in my life. And she understands me, and I'm a very difficult person to understand. I'm always, I'm always smiling, I'm always laughing, I'm always joking. But sometimes it will be just a mask behind the anxiety that I have inside, or the anger that sometimes I will have inside. But being closed down is not easy, because I have to come up with the solution alone. Now that I have my own staff, my own people, my own second family, if you can call them. You can't really call them family because you don't pay family, right? But we're so close to each other. You know, a team, you grow a team. And then it crumbles and it becomes the tight team. The team that lasts with you. We discuss things in our meeting, and I prefer to listen to what they have to say, take it in, and put it in action. But keeping it inside is not the easiest. I do it because of past experiences, which are so many, that I've had. So I would rather not worry other people, deal with it, solve it, and then tell them about it. So tell them, you know what happened to me? And my wife would tell me, but why didn't you tell me before? I could have helped you. But no, I keep putting things on my shoulder.
From a team management standpoint, right? So you having people, and so I've always been a firm believer of delegation. Yes. Even if there's a big problem, I would always include my team. In any team, I've been in multiple team management roles. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to be given those opportunities, and I'm doing it right now as well. And I always believe that people are more competent than you think they are.
Yes, for sure.
So doesn't that behavior stop your team, or not stop, but slow down the ability for your team to become autonomous at problem solving, because they will rather come to you than resolve the problem themselves?
As I said, I discuss with them. So the issues are discussed and we'll do them together. Okay. Yes. Okay. So in the office, yes. And I love hearing what they have to say, or even what is not going right, so we can do it right. At the moment, we are in a position where changing the system was a bit of a screw up for us, because the system that we used was much more efficient. So
you inherited the system from another company?
Yes. Okay. Which is good, but ours was better. So faster.
Let's talk about this. So for those that don't know and then are watching the show, I'm just gonna ask you to give a bit of a summary of, obviously, going from agent, you went to then from Frank Salt. Where did you go after that?
So
were you a manager at Frank Salt?
No,
never. So you were still an agent.
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that?
As an ambitious person that I am, I wanted more. I felt like I was a bit stuck, even though the respect that they gave me was a lot.
Okay.
But my ambitious character overruled the respect that they gave me, which, if I had to go back, I don't know what I would have done, because I had a lot of respect for them as well, and I loved the company, again, like it was my own, like I always do. But my ambitious character actually pushed me to open a franchise myself. I needed the next step, I needed the next challenge, and I did that with one of my best friends, which
yes,
as well.
Good guy.
Good guy, very good guy.
We used to exchange memes up until very recently. I need to actually top it up.
He still does. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. And we did it, We opened a very large office, which again, the ambitious part of me took over. It might have been a bit too big for me.
Pause for a second there.
Yeah.
What kind of financial burden does it? Because this is interesting, right? Because I've never opened my own business.
And it was my first business.
It was your first business, right? So you took a massive plunge.
Massive.
Excuse me. What sort of financial burden does it actually take to move from currently you're working for someone and now you've opened your own office, you've employed your own staff, you have to invest in your equipment,
of course,
you have to invest in your marketing, furniture, water, electric, any refurbishment of the office, because I'm pretty sure you don't get the office the way it was. And the Xero office was very nice, the one we talked about.
We did a good job, yes.
And it was a very nice office. Very modern. So I'm pretty sure that there was quite a level of investment. What sort of financial impact does that have on you? How hard is it, really?
It is hard. Especially not coming from a business-oriented family,
Mm-hmm.
Certain plunges are not taken lightly. You get a lot of people from my family who will be like, but you're comfortable where you are. I am totally opposite of that.
Our previous guest on this podcast said the same thing. He said the family was the biggest thing that will put you down from moving on to this if they are not business oriented.
But when someone puts me down, it gives me fuel to go higher.
It's like a challenge.
It is. I'm telling you, it's not easy. But when someone tells me you can't do it, I will do it just to say I did it.
Just to show,
Which
is very unhealthy, by the way. It's done. It's the way to challenge yourself.
It is. It is. But sometimes that was my first business, okay? I did a lot of mistakes, okay? A lot of mistakes.
Before you move on to the next bit, as someone, if there's a viewer here who's looking to take that plunge, so we know it's a big financial burden.
Okay.
Right? We understand.
It is.
What sort, as somebody who had never opened a business, what sort of preparation did you do before you took the plunge, if any?
I destroyed my brain doing the numbers, but at the same time, I didn't have experience with the real numbers.
Which are?
The real numbers, the real costs, the real percentages that will actually go into your pocket. When you start getting that commission. And this is interesting even for people who are looking, who are watching the podcast right now. People think that's a big commission that you get. When you actually break it down to what you're giving the agent, what you're giving to the listing agent, to the broker maybe.
If there is someone involved.
The percentage that you get, with that little amount that is left, you have to pay all the costs. So this is like every business. And in real estate, people say, oh, because you make money. Okay. So you get your commission in real estate. But a notary also does work, very interesting work, very problematic work. But people don't see that amount as
controversial.
Exactly. Why? Because I'm an agent. I'm a business owner. Every agent is a business owner because every agent is self-employed. So it's a business within a business.
Which is why the majority, in fact 99% of the best agents end up managing or owning a franchise.
Yes.
And I've seen that happen in the last 6 years, and they are brilliant at what they do.
Yes.
Well, we can name names and we know who we're talking
That's a Maltese thing, though. When something is doing well, everyone wants a piece of
the pie.
For
sure.
And then there are companies who would employ or get in anyone with a heartbeat, who is either a good agent or not. You know?
Just bums on seats.
It's a numbers game. There are two ways of seeing real estate. A numbers game, so have hundreds and every person gives you a little bit, but the franchise owner gets a lot. The main franchise owner. So get as many people as you can, as you can. But everyone gives a bit. If everyone gives a bit, then it'll end up like a lot. Or else you will have that agency that would rather stick to quality than quantity. And the amounts are the same.
Which I think that translates into a lot of other businesses as well, you're right.
Yes.
I mean, quality, it's the same with, a lot of other businesses.
And numbers. A lot of people go on numbers. Get as many people as you can. And then if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But most of the time it is good.
I think this is a good topic as well, because yes, when business is booming, when the market is healthy and very competitive, let's talk about real estate, because particularly this is the topic, right? My observation of this, and again, I brushed into real estate for 6-7 months, right? And I, did other stuff. When it's competitive, quality vs quantity is equal. But I think when then shit hits the fan, and the market stagnates, or I wouldn't say stagnates, it saturates, slows down, and it's now a steady hum instead of a big rise.
You start losing agents like...
The quality is where the quality business will most likely pump up the same numbers, if not more, because now people are looking for quality.
Yes.
They're not looking for quantity.
And in nowadays, people know more. Social media, not always taught people, but also gave them, misinformation is also, it's still learning, but people know more now. It's easy accessible. My 6-year-old knows about things that I wouldn't even... I was 11 when I knew what he knows.
We didn't have tablets in Malta in the 90s.
No.
We were lucky we had color TV in the 90s.
Right. I mean, my 6-year-old knows more things than myself when I was 11, 12 years old.
For sure.
Because the information that is being gathered out there and that is given for public domain is massive. Massive.
I remember very, very recently an experience with my daughter. She wanted to play a restaurant. And she sat me down on her little chair and she came as a waiter and she was like, "How can I help you this evening? Would you like to pick from the menu?" Which is something that I was taught when I was 17 when I started working at Intercontinental. And I thought it was the best thing ever when I was taught that when I was 17 or 16, right? Going into the employment force, the working force as a young adult. And that really, I made that correlation in my head. And I was like, holy shit, she is 5. And she got this down to a T. What is going to look like when these kids, this generation of kids, we haven't even called the generation yet, I think. They're Zoomers, or no, I think Zoomers are the current generation coming up.
Really?
I think Generation Z, Zoomers, right?
Okay.
These are going to be COVID kids, for sure, as they went through a pandemic. My child went through a pandemic while she was in childcare.
Okay.
What level of intelligence are they going to have when they are 16 and 17? And how are they going to use that level? Because when you're 16 and 17, you think you know everything when you don't.
That happens at 11 now.
Yes. But again, I still think that actually that's a good point. They will know it at 11, but it will then probably still, up until you're in your early 20s, you still think you know a lot about life when you don't. Yes. Because I think up until I hit 28, 29, I thought I knew a lot. And now I know how very little I know. And I'm 34, so and I don't know shit.
You're always there.
I know
You're
nothing.
Always there.
I have no idea. And sometimes I'll be talking to my dad or my mom, who are obviously a bit older, and they'll tell me something, and I'm like, "You're right. Like I can't. It's just wisdom." And my mom and dad, aren't business people. They weren't leaders in their industry. They worked humble jobs. They worked very hard, but they still have a level of wisdom that I still haven't yet.
You will get it through life.
Yes, agreed.
Through life. And when you actually reach my age, when you're over 40s, you'll also start learning to say, yes, you're right.
And those picking your battles as well.
You know what I mean?
Listen to your elders, folks. Gang, old people are very smart.
They are through experience. They don't necessarily need to be business people.
No, absolutely.
Experience teaches you. Experience is even more important sometimes than certificates.
Certificates get you through the door, and that's it.
Exactly.
Whether or not you'll be successful.
Exactly.
I've studied. I've done my fair share of studying, but I've not done any PhDs or anything like that. It's absolutely important. I think academic background, especially in the younger, it's been promoted that you don't have to study, especially in America. You drop out of college and go start your own thing. Studying gives you a background of discipline. It doesn't matter what you're studying.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
In my opinion, it gives you a background of discipline.
Yep.
A level of discipline that when you get a certificate, you're showing I was disciplined enough to sit through 20% of dog shit lessons, but 80% were really interesting. But 20% of them were just
very, very true.
Boring, and I sat through it, but I still studied. I've done the work, I've done my thesis, and I've got my PhD, I've got my bachelor's, I've got my diploma, whatever it is.
Whatever.
I've got my O levels, my GCSEs for those that aren't Maltese. It just shows a level of discipline. So guys, for those listening, study.
Yes.
If you can financially afford it, study. I would love to go back into studying at some point. I just haven't found the time. So, with all the stuff that's going on with a new job and the podcast. But.
And we cannot, as a small island, compare ourselves to the Americas. You can't.
That's an interesting point.
You can't. Imagine yourself, okay? You drop out here. And it's already difficult because it's a saturated island, right?
Especially now.
Yes. In America, if you sell one product of yours, right? And a mere 1 million people buy it, you're a millionaire. How can you even compare yourself to here? It's impossible. Even certain podcasts that you hear, the American ones, I try and avoid the American ones. Why? Because they talk about money. It's how easy to do it. It's so easy to make millions or whatever. Yes, in your country. Here in Malta, the richest ones are the old money. Not the new. The new money is more difficult.
The compounded interest of the compounded time
and old money. The old business people are the strongest people.
Agreed.
In my opinion.
No, I think you're right. If you look at, let's go back to your opening this franchise. So you opened a franchise with very little to no business management experience. Quite a lot of experience in the sales aspect.
A lot of experience.
Yes, you had a lot of experience in management and sales.
Because I had closed a lot of deals in those 7 years.
How did you go from nothing, not nothing, but nothing? You start with no revenue generation, right? To making it a successful, because I think that that office, my opinion, was very successful. So
it was okay.
Well known. Okay. So why was it okay, not successful here? Right?
It was okay. We actually hit a pandemic in the middle. So it wasn't easy.
When did you open it?
We opened in 2017.
So at that point, that was probably at the start of the property boom, right?
2017 was great. It was a very good year. Bitcoin. First year, exactly. That's another story of Bitcoin. I still hit myself on the head for it. But the first year was good. Second year was okay. Third year, fourth year, pandemic. And that was bad. And it made me reevaluate a lot of things in my life. That the mere percentage that I had was not enough. So that's when I actually decided to speak. Actually, I went for a bike ride with a friend of mine. We ended up discussing business. I'm not going to mention who it is. People who are in the real estate business know. And I worked for this company, real estate company, for 4 months. Worst 4 months ever.
Why?
Because you're actually engaged to grow the business, to make it better, to not change, not necessarily change. Sometimes it's not the change that makes it better, it's the fresh ideas of an outsider coming into the company.
For sure.
You know, because a company could be good. It could be better with fresher ideas, you know, but I was not allowed that. I was more like, how can I put it nicely?
Do what you're told.
I was played.
Okay.
I was played. I wasn't given the actual position that I was meant to get.
Okay.
But that actually gave me better financial stability, but at the same time made me think, what the hell have I done? What have I done? I've sold my business, you know, to do this, and it destroyed me. It killed me from the inside.
Killed you like mentally, I mean.
Killed me.
Is it related to what you said at the start, where you would like to be in control of the entity that you're working for or with, or... Yeah.
I put my guards down, so I wasn't the main boss, but at the same time, and I took that, it's fine. But when every single idea is not taken because there is a control freak controlling absolutely every single move that you do, that is a mistake.
It's suffocating.
But, then there's always a but with me. I believe in everything happens for a reason. And I believe in it wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Everything in this world happens for a reason. While in those 4 months, I met some amazing people, amazing agents.
Okay.
Who saw me as a breath of fresh air in that particular company, right? When I decided I can't take it anymore, because during those 4 months, the previous company tried to break me. It's that very difficult to break me, you know me. Very difficult to break me. And I got out of it, as we Maltese say, literal translation, got out of it, how do you say it? Toħroġt fuq.
Yeah, you got out of it smelling nice.
Smelling nice. It's a literal translation, but it's not what actually, you know?
Perfumed.
You know, I got out of it pretty well. But as I said, I met some amazing people in those 4 months who actually saw me as a breath of fresh air and remained friends with me. And I actually took another plunge and opened the company 100% alone.
And this is inside homes? Or
that is inside homes. 100% alone.
From chaos came something new.
No partners. I didn't want any partners anymore.
That's interesting. And it's the one interesting thing as well that you said is that you were probably in your toughest spot in years.
Yes.
Psychologically.
Yes.
And I can relate to that because I look back. I've had good years with my previous employer, with the bank. I can say who it is, but out of respect, because there's a lot of people that are still there and I'm very good friends with and I treat as my close friends. I had good experiences with very good leaders, and I had the shittiest years of my life there when I had bad leaders.
Yeah.
Not because of the bank. The bank was great. Excellent. You know, it gave me all the opportunities that I have today. It made me who I am. I found my partner through the bank. I wouldn't have the life I have today. But when I had bad leaders, it was the most ruinous experience I've ever had.
Yes.
But,
Teaches you a lot.
and then there's another but, it teaches you how to read people.
A lot.
And you can smell, I can now smell a narcissist or a psychopathic leader from a mile away. I can tell straight away this person's full of shit.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I will not trust you with a single word that comes out of your mouth and mine.
That's why everything happens for a reason.
And you learn.
Always.
So congratulations on opening Inside Homes.
Thank
So let's talk about that now.
Yes.
Because that is interesting. So
So
now you
Inside
went
Homes.
from a franchise owner, where yes, you own your business, but you don't really own fully your business.
No.
Because
It's still your business.
yes.
But you are using a database.
And you're using a brand.
Exactly.
So now you
It's
went
like
from...
imagine a train. Okay?
Mhm.
Every cabin is individually, you can move it separate, right? You
Yes.
can separate from each other. That's like it's a franchise. So there's the main engine in the front. And then you have cabins. Do they call them cabins? What do they call them?
Yes, I think so.
So when you actually buy a franchise, you're adding a cabin to the train.
You're still fully responsible for all the costs, right? And you pay a franchise fee.
Yes. But I am the company owner. So my company will always remain my company. But I am using someone else's database,
Okay.
right?
So now you moved from having someone else's database, which means that you had a bit of a foundation to start with, client leads. I'm rubbing my face again. This
I
is,
have been already in the industry for a very long time.
yes. Sorry, I was rubbing my face because I learned not to do it from episode 1, but I fucked up. That's fine. We'll have to start over. Sorry, we've been over for nothing. I'm sorry. Neil, just hit the tape again. Sorry. So now you moved from owning a franchise, having that foundation to start off, to now you opened Inside Homes and you have practically nothing.
Being a franchise owner,
Uh-huh.
moving to employed
Okay.
for 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Meeting some amazing people, okay?
Right.
And back into business alone, 100%.
So you have to build the branding. You have to decide what the logo looks like. Find the office space.
Yeah.
Rent it out. And then all the other stuff we talked about, furnishing, all the other overhead.
Yes.
Find the people, because now you don't have the brand to attract people.
Exactly. You have to start from the beginning. But
How was
But-
that?
at least I rode on a database that was dying down, you can call it.
Okay.
Person owning this database, which is a very good database, was going abroad, and instead of killing it, if you can call it that way, I took it over myself using that database. At least I had a good database and a good foundation to actually start.
For those who have no real estate experience, what does a database contain, basically?
A database is the property and all the contacts with it.
Okay.
So the name of the owner, the number, the mobile, where you can actually call to see if it's available or not. Okay.
With pictures, I'm talking,
Pictures.
ground rent, plans, etc.
Everything. All the information of the property and the owner.
Okay.
Okay. So Inside Homes was a new venture, a scary one, 100% alone. That means all the costs are on me now. 100%.
How did you start getting people through the door? As in employees?
That's when it actually started, when I said I met some very interesting people. Because those people actually realized that I could actually help them and we can actually grow together. So those people moved with me,
Very good.
you know?
How many did you get?
I didn't poach. Those people actually moved to me.
Gravitated.
Exactly.
And how many did you have when you started?
I think we were 3.
You'll see why I'm asking these questions for something you told me before the podcast. I want us to see comparatively. So when was this? What year was it?
2019.
So 2019 is when you opened Inside Homes. Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yes.
2023 now. Jesus.
90. Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's fast forward.
Yes.
So Inside Homes is still going strong. 2023.
Inside Homes, the brand is still there,
Right.
but now it actually moved to condominium and property management.
Which is what?
So,
What's a
Let me tell you what the franchise actually taught me.
Tell me.
When I moved to 100% alone. What I've learned from the previous franchise that I had was not to put all the eggs in one basket.
Okay.
Right? So I was in partnership within a partnership. So I was getting a mere percentage. At the end of the year, you will get absolutely nothing. So basically, it looked good, but it's not good. But I had only that income stream. Right? And then there was COVID, and that income stream was completely gone. So that taught me a lot. In life, when you have a business, you need to have a number of income streams. So if one fails, the other one will back it up. And if that one fails, the other one will back it up as well. So that's what Inside Homes was all about. Creating income streams within real estate. And in fact, the first logo or the first banner that I created was a one-stop shop in real estate.
If you have that banner, share it with us. Larry will put it on the screen for us.
I will. It's also on the desk. Because Inside Homes was not only sales of properties, it was letting, which is a different income stream.
Mm-hmm.
It was property management and condominium.
Pause. Property management, for those who don't know. So letting is rental property.
Yes.
Sales is you're just selling it, right?
Selling property.
What is property management? So for people that don't know what that is.
Property management is either an owner of a property who is foreigner and is not in Malta and has a property here in Malta that is for rental investment.
Okay.
So I manage that property for them. So I will find the tenant and I will manage everything that has to do with the property itself.
So anything like maintenance. Okay.
Yes. Not I do the maintenance myself, but I manage the property, right? And that actually grew into having blocks of apartments around the island on short lets, which is another level of property management. You know, because you have bookings coming, you have check-ins, check-outs, you know. So I created a nice mainstream of self-check-in.
What is stronger right now in Malta, particularly letting or sales? In terms of
letting is very strong. Sales is also very, very strong. But letting will always be strong. At the moment, the prices are a bit too expensive.
We'll get into the market of.
They will settle.
We'll get into the property market because I have a bit of a spicy question, which is going to be a bit controversial for you because it will. Okay, 52 minutes. All right, already. But we're gonna get into that spiciness. Okay. I want to do this. This is gonna fucking happen, man. About the market. Sorry. Okay, so property management. And what is a condominium? I don't know what that is.
Condominium, basically, it is law now in Malta that when you actually have a block of apartments, the common areas needs to be managed.
Okay.
Or an association has to be created. Right?
The lifts, garden, front garden, whatever.
Anything that is common. When I say common area, is the front entrance all the way to the roof, the common area, stairs, the lift, and also shafts are common area, and the facade.
Okay.
So anything that is common between all the owners is a common area.
Okay. Very good.
So when I say condominium, it means management of condominium, which grew very, very steadily. It is a very big headache because you're dealing with a number of people every time. You're not just one owner now. You might have a block of 8. You might have a block of 12. Or you might have, like one of the big complexes I have, 130 garages, for example.
Okay.
That is what.
So it can get very busy.
That's another level.
So that's why whenever I call you, you never answer.
That's when I call you back.
That's when I WhatsApp you respond 3 weeks later. Oh, sorry, Dan. Yes.
Yes.
I've been trying to get Ludwig on this podcast I've been messaging him non-stop for over 2-3 months until I got a yes. But I'm glad you came. I appreciate it. Thank you. So that's how valuable your time is. I appreciate that.
But when you start talking about things like I'm doing now, which is something that I don't really do about my life, you start thinking and evaluating something.
You start unpacking.
Exactly.
Yes, it's important.
Exactly.
Okay, so last bit, and then we'll do some general questions, some spicy questions, and then we'll probably close off because Lily might throw something at my head at some point.
The other hat.
The other hat, yes. We only got on 2 hats so far, right?
2 hats.
But I want to get into the acting bit and a bit of your sports background as well eventually. So then with Inside Home, so now more recently you've acquired a franchise as well.
Yes.
With can we tell?
Very happy about. Yes.
Yes. So with BenEstates Exceed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's going to be
is my
sales.
office.
Exceed is your office.
My office.
So you called it Exceed.
Exceed.
I love your bombastic names. You always come up with a bombastic.
But I have to exceed expectations, no?
Absolutely, I agree.
There you go.
Okay, so so you've recently acquired that. I'm not going to ask you how it is because it's very, very new, and you're now moving offices.
Very happy about
that
because we're helping each other actually,
which is good. So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yes,
but Inside Home still exists.
Yes,
and Inside
condominium and property management.
Okay, so that does it separately. So how do you? So now I'm going to ask you about questions about you, and the reason I'm asking questions about you is because I want people to be inspired of how do you manage. So how do you manage having 2 businesses? Being a father of 2 kids, very young kids, which are probably a big handful. You ride your bike. I don't know if you're still involved in any acting or anything like that.
I do.
You do acting. I know you do some ads as well.
I do.
Which you do as well. How the fuck do you do it? The question is.
That is a big question.
How do you manage without losing your sanity? How do you manage to maintain your relationship with your partner, with your kids, or with your wife rather, with your kids, with your stakeholders, with your employees, with your friends, with Dan messaging you on WhatsApp 3 times, 4 times a week to try and get you on the podcast, or if they have a property that they want to and have the guy who wants to sell this or buy it, whatever. How do you manage?
That's a good question. It's not very easy. It's actually not easy at all. Because I believe that when you start something, you have to be good at it yourself first. So you have to break yourself in different pieces. How do I manage? So my businesses are during the day, which are long hours, starting from 8 a.m., sometimes even till 8 in the evening. And the evenings are usually either at home or filming, when I used to do main acting, which was quite crazy. Weekends during summer, sea and boat. On the weekend, in winter, bike.
Okay, so it's great that you mentioned it's great that you mentioned time off and time to enjoy stuff. How important is that for you?
Time off has to be abroad. And in my today, even abroad is difficult because calls are constant. And I most of the time answer. If I don't answer, I message.
So how do you shut off? And how often do you do it?
It's not easy to shut off. I don't really have time to shut off much at the moment.
But at the moment, yes, because you're going through a bit of a move.
Only time I shut off is when I'm on the bike.
Okay.
For example, I just came back from 4 full days of riding. We did 800 kilometers with my very good friends. I love them to bits. The Etna chapter.
Okay.
It's the whole group in Malta.
I saw the pictures. I think you posted the story or something. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I love it.
If you share that picture with us, we'll post it now as well.
I shared the whole group.
Really?
We went up 35 bikes, 54 people.
And this was in at night?
Imagine booking A restaurant for 54 people.
54 bikers, like 54 Ludwigs walking in with a beard, like massive shoulders.
I love
Crazy.
them to bits. Love them to bits. So that is the only time I shut off when I'm on the bike, because I can't answer the phone. I can't really message. So that is shutting off. Or when I sleep, I shut off, kind of.
Now you're talking about it and you're unpacking it, and we talked about it earlier. Is there better ways that you can figure out to shut off? So now that you know that because you can't answer your phone, because you've put yourself in an environment where you cannot work,
Mm.
and you know it makes you feel better when you shut off a bit.
Yes, 100%.
Thinking about it now, as we're talking about it, is there more stuff you can do to put yourself in scenarios where you cannot work, like shutting
I'm
your phone
working on it at the moment. I have a great mentor who is actually recruiting people and training them and managing them to become really good agents
Okay.
in sales, right? He's my consultant with my sales agents. Who's a great person, louder than life, massive bag of experience, so I respect him. In letting, I also have an amazing guy who used to be a manager in another company and drove his people to love him to bits. So I'm giving him, from the 1st of October, the letting team.
So you passing work on is that
I'm learning to actually do
delegating. Very good. Well done.
I'm actually...
This is a new Ludwig. Oh, God. What a
You
makeover.
learn. That's why you learn. You learn in life. You can't do everything. And I'm learning it because it's getting so much. Too much that my wife keeps telling me, Lou, you can't do everything alone. You cannot. You need help. And yes, it's true. I need help. Now, the biggest hurdle, the next hurdle is finding someone full-time, because I'm growing a bit too much in the condominium side.
So, pause. How many people do you have working for you now? So you started
So,
with
3.
3. How many do you have now?
Now we have 9 in sales and 4 in letting.
4, and the managing.
Actually 5 in letting.
5 in letting. Okay, so you went from 3 to now 14. And you talked about quality. So these are quality people that you personally hired. Very good.
They're great people.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
really good. I wish you the best with this stuff. I'm sure you'll listen, I'm sure you're going to do well. Actually, you know what? Because you said that when people put you down, you get better. I hope you fail. That's it. That's it. Top real estate worker in the world, Mr. Worldwide.
and in fact, I had to move office. I had to grow.
Because it's too big.
I'm moving.
Very good.
Yeah, I can't.
It's a good problem to have.
We're all, yes. But at the moment, we're all crammed. And by next week, we should be in the new office. 2 of my agents
Bit of
actually
marketing
told
for
me,
you.
because of all the stress at once, and the moving, and the buying the furniture, and the designing the office. I had to design the whole
Everything's
office.
doing done by Ludwig.
Buy furniture, get the furniture, order the furniture, waiting for the furniture, half of it arrives. Crazy.
Classic. Malta style.
At least tell me that half of them are coming, because I had the cleaners lined up. Because you know how I am. Everything is
of course.
boxes in the head. So you close one box, the other one was the cleaners. So I had to change everything around. But it was a very stressful month, because I managed to change offices in a month. But 2 of the agents actually told me, one of them actually, we're looking forward to have Ludwig back. Because I was everywhere. When before I was with them all the time, all day, dealing with issues, solving issues. Now, at the moment, I was everywhere because I was moving the office as efficiently as possible.
We talked about this once, about you being a director, moving from a manager to a director, remember? And the difference.
Yes.
And you haven't listened to any of the advice I gave you. The hell of it, come on. The advice I gave I gave him for the viewers is that if you're moving from a team manager role, any form, any team, any size team, you can have 150 people lining into you. You're moving from a manager to a director. You can't be in the trenches, as they say, You have to have someone who manages the operation for you, because if you need to direct and you're in the trenches, you can't see what's happening from 50,000 feet up in the air. And as a director, you need to be 50,000 feet up in the air.
But I'm learning that.
You're doing it. I'm glad you are.
I'm delegating. I'm actually looking now. I'm looking for people to work in my...
Did you just use my podcast?
Yes, I did.
To recruit me. Fuck off, man. Oh, okay. Well, if anyone is looking for a job in real estate, we'll post a link on the YouTube, I guess. That's why you came. I'm joking.
No, I'm just finding someone now. I'm looking for someone who can help me with the condominium. Once I have that, I will be in control because everything will be in place. And as you said, I can actually look into growing the company even more.
Very good. Best of luck. And, I was jokes aside, for anyone listening that is looking for a career in real estate, who better to work for than Mr. Ludwig Farrugia? This guy has years of it. And he can teach you acting, he can teach you water polo, he can teach you how to manage hotels, how to be a night shift leader, anything, how to put a dress on and be a bearded lady in the Istrina, everything.
That's so nice. That is actually some stress relief when I'm filming.
Is it?
Because you're living someone else's life.
Putting another hat on.
And as you know, I take the most difficult characters ever, not myself.
My earliest memory of you in the acting industry was when you did, I think Anjali, was it?
No.
Not Anjali, no. It was something similar. What was it called? I forgot. But I remember it was the first time I heard any form of swearing in a Maltese drama.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, this is refreshing. And it was you swearing. It was a very long time ago.
Seriously?
What was it called? Well, yeah.
I think Evangelisti.
Yes, that one.
Evangelisti.
And you were... I don't remember. I am really sorry. I remember you particularly because I knew you. You had two different characters. You had a good guy and the...
Exactly.
And an evil
I had
person.
the preacher and the head of criminality, underground criminality.
Yes, the white collar criminals.
So laughing at people and, giving them a beautiful preach and then turning back and you just
Doing
change
shit.
into the, what the hell am I doing?
And I remember you swearing on TV and I was like, that is refreshing. It's good to see a modernization of the and I'm not giving you credit for the whole modernization of the drama, right? But
the one before it
Interesting.
actually started the Maltese TV as it is today.
how did you get into acting? Like, how did you actually step into the scene?
From my mother's side, her aunts were actually the first actresses in Malta.
Okay.
So Carmen Azzopardi, who now she passed away, but she was one of the most loved and one of the oldest actress in Malta.
Leah will bring a picture up here of Carmen Azzopardi.
Who's my mother's aunt.
Okay.
I have my uncle, Mario Filippo Azzopardi, who did loads of films abroad in Canada. And I remember when I was really young, sitting on his lap in Marsa Scala, if I remember well, actually seeing one of the movies that he had done, still raw, so still with the numbers rolling.
I know.
So I was always brought up, and even from my father's side, nowadays, one of my cousins is one of the best producers, that there is on the island. He owns his own company.
I like how you're always selling when you talk. You have this bombastic charisma that is infectious. You get me excited about stuff that I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, really? What? Like, best producer, did you just watch a reel that wasn't edited? That's so exciting, and I have no clue, right? How that feeling would be. So you're such a salesman that it permeates from your personality.
But I love everything that I do.
Yes, I think so. I think it's because you are genuinely excited about what you're talking about.
Yes.
And does it ever rub some people the wrong way? Some people that you knew that maybe not. I'm not talking about friends, with people
You
that.
can't make everyone happy in life.
I agree.
In fact, it's a good thing that we mentioned this. Before we used to say, if you want to make everyone happy, go and sell ice cream.
Sell ice cream.
You can't even do that nowadays. Because you might find someone who's lactose intolerant. Because you might find someone who, I don't know, doesn't like any of the ice creams that you have. You cannot make everyone happy. It is impossible. It is something impossible to make everyone happy. In fact, it's good that maybe even the person who actually said it might be watching this podcast, which would be really nice. But even when we were discussing a franchise, he actually told me that someone actually tried to tell him, listen, he has a lot of nerves, that guy, be careful of Ludwig. You can never make everyone happy. Never. It is impossible. And I would challenge anyone who says you can make everyone happy. You cannot.
No.
You will always find someone who may be this, as you mentioned it, an infectious character, might hate me to bits. He doesn't like my face, he doesn't like my smile, he doesn't like the way I look. You can't make everyone happy. And I don't try to make everyone happy either.
Were you always like that?
Always.
Interesting.
I changed in my 20s because of things that happened to me in life, but I was always a bit of a difficult character, if you can call me that.
Really?
My wife would remove the habit. She would...
But your partner, listen, if you ask my partner Zoe about all my faults, she will write a book. If you ask her about one positive thing, she will have to take a second to think about it.
She's
because
extremely...
They see the raw version of us.
Yes, exactly.
They see us,
and
after
my wife learns. She's learned this bit through experience now. The ones who actually, it's a strong word, but the person that suffers the most is the person you love the most. Because I keep everything inside, as I said, and when I go home, I don't talk about it.
But your behavior is influenced
Exactly.
by it.
The behavior comes out completely. I'm cold, and the discussions will start because you don't tell me anything.
That breaks my heart because I am like that. And but sometimes then my daughter will come and wants to play, and I'm like, I'm working on something, right? Because I'll be usually like after work, I'll start working on the podcast, and I'm working on
Yes.
on being a little bit talking about how's it going to be looking, which bit is cool for the teaser, or which bit is good to,
Yes. I know what you mean.
And then I feel like an absolute asshole, and then I'll just close my laptop or whatever. I'll get up and I'll go and make sure I spend quality time with my partner and with my daughter. We'll watch a film, or we'll get takeout, or do something. Yes. We'll go out, or whatever. We'll go jump in the yard, and she jumps on the trampoline or whatever.
It's necessary.
But I agree. It's not the actual problems that burden our families and loved ones. It is the behavior driven by us not talking about it, or
totally agree,
or by us talking about it. It could be just we're just being smiles all day with people we don't really particularly care about that much because they're not family or friends. And then at the end of the day, the people that really matter, the people we're doing it for.
I really want to talk to you because I wouldn't have spoken to her all day. I go home because I'm constantly talking, constantly on the phone. That's when I go home, which is my place to be because I love home. I love being at home. I can't talk more. I would want to relax, to calm down, to wind down. But my wife, obviously, would want to talk. I wouldn't want to talk, So sometimes I'll have days where I'll be like, please, Chris, I don't want to talk about work. Talk about everything but work. And if I see it from her side, it's offensive. Because she genuinely cares. And she asks about work, about my business, who it's her business as well, really and truly. We're married. So Yeah.
It's fascinating how we experience, and I'm sure everyone, listening will have some form of experience going through this, because it's constant. It's just like, unfortunately, the people that are closest to us, we do take for granted sometimes.
We do, yes.
We absolutely do. I have been making a very conscious effort, especially the last couple of months. We've been through some hardships, with some debts in the family, and it makes you realize, it makes you question what's really important. Business, work is important. I think it gives you a really good sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Working hard is super important. Makes you grow, push yourself, but, we're not going to live forever.
Nope.
And in 150 years, no one will remember your business, no one will remember who you are or who I am.
No one would remember your 13, 14-hour day.
Exactly.
Because you're doing it for yourself.
Except your kids. There's a saying that it says, no one will remember how many hours you worked, except your children when they grow up.
Because they grow up quick and fast. I try, Dan. I really do. Weekends we spend it together. We enjoy it. Sometimes I'm grumpy. Let's say most of the time.
Only 95%.
When you look on a Sunday, relaxed, and the phone, Dan, you're on your phone again. But, it's work. I can't do otherwise. But
they'll come to appreciate it. My father used to work days at a time, and he worked in an internal oil company until he retired last 2 years ago. 35 years he spent or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, whoever is listening, but he spent a very long time working a very humble job. It wasn't his own business. He's working for someone. Very hard work, very long hours, days at a time. So he used to sleep in his van. He used to live in a container there in Marsa's Rock, because it was on the other side of the island. We lived in Mosta. We still do. And he used to be away days at a time. But now, I never really, because whenever summers was on the boat with Dad or swimming, he still has it, a very small fishing boat, 19 feet. And we still, and those are the times I remember. I remember waking up early. Wait up, I don't know, today it's summer, I don't have school. Why do I have to get up at 4:30? And then why do I have to get up at 5? And then have to buy the baits and then put, But those are the times I remember now.
Exactly.
And the times he wasn't there because of work, I also appreciated it because he put me and my brother through church school. Back then it was very, very good. Private education, private lessons. If I had to take piano lessons, we could afford it. My dad wasn't a rich man, but he made us want for nothing growing up.
A good life. That's
amazing. And I still respect him to this day. Today was his birthday, and I called him. I almost forgot before filming. We were talking, and I was like, shit, I have to call him before I start filming. And I was like, it's always great to, I'm lucky to still have my dad around.
Exactly.
Not everyone does. Not everyone has their parents around all the time, and I hold them close because they're getting older. They all are. We all are.
We all are. That's the thing.
And it's a privilege. I feel to still have him around and call him to help me go buy a car and check the engine and shit like that, because I am useless with that.
I ask him for help all the time.
Absolutely. But it is, well, we got really deep into this, which has nothing to do with business, but I'm pretty sure everyone can relate some form of another at the importance of that and the preciousness of life. So yes, absolutely, you need to think about, yes, work is important, but balancing it out. I think we talked about balance. Balance is important.
Balance is important.
And we talked about harmony last podcast, and I think I'll bring it up again. Harmony is super important. You need to work hard some days. If you're moving office, there's nothing you have to bloody put in the hours and work the weekends and work the times off.
You have
to. But then sometimes I was talking about someone at work today, same thing. If it's a busy time, yes, you work the extra hours, but if there's nothing else to do, there's no point in staying 3-4 hours after your time is over. You finish and you go home.
It's not the hours. It's how much you do in those hours.
I felt like I talked a bit too much here, so I'm gonna pass back to you. But so with acting and with work, and you balance it out, and then you balance it out with being a dad and everything. How do you keep up to date with all these different disciplines? Because acting is a discipline, real estate is a discipline.
Yes,
you have to innovate in both of those disciplines
all the time.
How the fuck do you?
And you have to learn the lines.
And you have to memorize the lines, which I would be horrible at because I filmed the intro of the previous podcast 6 times. It was a 1-minute intro.
Learn my lines.
Why?
Because one who actually watches me on TV knows that I'm very natural as an actor. It's like we're talking here, right?
Okay.
And I believe that if you actually memorize your lines, you'll end up sounding like you're reading. So I would rather, because a script is there to learn, okay, but at the same time, not everyone's tongue twists the same. So
That was a hard one.
You have to turn the script so that it matches your character that you're portraying, if you know what I mean. So you can't be... It's different between reading and conversing, right?
It's more organic.
So I would rather rehearse on the day with the actor, right? Because even if you're rehearsing, you know the move that you want to do, certain moves, certain facial expressions that you need to do on that particular line. If you get to learn it in the raw way, like you just said now, it comes more natural. So it takes a bit longer to film, but it comes out better.
How do you keep up with innovation in acting? So how do you keep fresh? How do you stay fresh? Because I've seen you in Miraklu.
Yes.
That was awesome. I watched, that is the first and only Maltese series I watched from start to finish. And it was super. And I watched
Captivating.
it was very captivating. I agree. It was very modern.
Yes.
In terms of Maltese drama standards. I've always been a big critic. Yes.
It's a dramedy, and it didn't happen much here.
And also, I was always a big critic of Maltese productions. I'll be honest. I think they were very meh.
Huh?
Yes, especially with international TV. But when I watched that, I was like, this is actually pretty bloody decent to the standards of international.
That was good. It was good, and it was fun doing it as well. It was actually my first ever acting role that was in a dramedy. My character was funny.
Yes, in your boxer shorts.
But funny. Triangles.
Triangles. Yes, okay. I think that's
Even worse.
I think my brain erased that memory and put a boxer shorts
and I laugh. Certain situations, because it was not he makes you laugh because of stupid facial expressions, because of the situations that he gets himself into. So I loved that character, and they still actually call me Pops. A lot of people still call me Pops.
Shanna Pops.
That's hilarious.
I think
I loved it.
Even
was my favorite character.
I love that character. Even the ensemble you worked with were very cool people. I know Kurt was, which was very nice guy, and he was so different in the series as well. So that was really what I think that was his acting. Was it his acting debut?
Debut, was it?
I think
No.
There was the other one. I forgot what it was called. The series.
No, it wasn't his first one, but he did a great job as well. I think all the actors in that particular dramedy was fantastic.
Yes, it was a captain, and I would really encourage people to.
You need a very good director, huh? Because Abigail always gets out the best in you. That's what I love about her.
What inspired? So where do you get your inspiration from? Because you are, you and a lot of people you've worked with have modernized Maltese drama. It went from, as you said, very scripted, very obvious that they're acting, to people who are organically portraying a character. They've obviously researched the character. And I'm not shitting on previous Maltese drama because they worked with what they had, right?
Of course.
But
you'd be impressed how Maltese drama is actually placed on TV with the budgets.
Of course. Yes, exactly, right? So there's not Hollywood budget, there is a Bollywood budget. But where did you gain that inspiration to take that leap forward where swearing on, or almost swearing on TV? Running around in underwear. You would never see that happen in the 90s in Malta.
That is what they make you do.
Okay.
And then how good you actually
portray it.
Okay. You know?
How many takes does it take to do something?
I got sunburns that day.
Because of one take.
What you actually see on TV, that's a minute, usually takes 4 hours of filming.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not good. That's why I like the podcast, because we can just keep going, and we have a magician in the studio that just removes all the cringy stuff that I say, which is great. So it makes me look good. I still look bad. It just makes me look less bad. Unfortunately, that's in my control. Listen, I have a few questions and then we'll wrap it up. For those listeners, because this is where I aim this podcast to be, it's for listeners who are looking to step up, take a career change, do something different, challenge themselves a bit more. Grow up. That felt bad saying it, I'm sorry. It's very cringy, but it's why it's called Grow Up as well. It's called Grow Up because I want...
everyone grows up.
People that maybe are...
keep growing up until you die. So.
Exactly. Well, you start dying from the day you're born, they say. But sorry, I'll rephrase the question. People who maybe feel that they're in a place where they need to move on to do something better. People who are in a state of comfort that don't want to be in a state of comfort anymore. Some people enjoy it and good luck to you.
Yes.
Some people that want to move on and do something different or start their own business. What words of wisdom or encouragement do you have to offer?
You can't be afraid to go a step higher. You cannot. You have to take the plunge. If you fail, it doesn't matter. You start over. That fail will actually make you stronger and not fail in that situation again. You know? So I failed so many times that it actually made me stronger. And when I believe that I'm going to fail in something again, I know that I will do better next time, you know? So you need failures to actually become excellent at what you do. So if you're afraid and say, no, I'd rather not. I'd rather wait. If you wait, you lose. So if you want to actually go for something, do it. You might fail in it. Doesn't matter. But then you'll have experience. You know? I've had my first business. It didn't go the way I actually wrote down on my numbers. It went the exact opposite. You know? It didn't break me. It stressed me a lot. And I stressed the people around me. But I've learned, you know? And I still miss the people that I used to work with. The agents that used to work, I miss them till today.
You had some great guys.
Great guys. They still are. And they're still in that office. But I wasn't in the right place for my life. You know? Too many partners, too many crumbs. I don't want to live with crumbs. I want to live with the cake. I want the cake,
you want
not the crumbs.
And to eat it.
You know? But with still great people. So at least I have the cake that I can divide with other people. You know? Not I have the crumbs of the cake.
How important is it to have great people around you? And what do you do when you hire someone who doesn't turn out to the way that you expected?
A bad apple has to be changed.
Okay.
Always.
Quickly.
ASAP.
Why?
Even if it's... Let me tell you, if you have a good team that is producing X amount, and you have a really good agent who is producing as well, but he's damaging your company, you have to get rid of him or her. You have to. Because it will break you to pieces.
That's so interesting. There's a video on online. It's been around a while where it says I think it's Simon Sinek that did it. Where he said like you don't want like the army. They don't want high performance with poor teamwork. They want even middle performance with good teamwork because that's even better for the overall team production.
Exactly. I had, for example,
interesting you saying that.
I had a good producer, very good producer, but he had no respect. He even closed deals behind my back. He has no shame at all. And actually took me to court because, listen to this. So he closed deals behind my back. I got to know them. I got to know all of them, right? So I kept the last commission, which is a fraction of what he stole, but he took me to court for that piece that I didn't give him. That's how infectious, how bad that person actually is, you know? So he wouldn't say, Ludwig gave me, and I used to pay him even in advance because I'll do anything for my agents, for my people. He doesn't see the good that you did. He will see only the bad.
Yes.
So you have to take a decision and get rid of the person, because your business becomes your life. So if someone tries to tear your arm out, you have to get rid of it.
Very interesting. And it's I'm glad you're saying that. It resonates in so many other lessons that people say about business. Like you need to very quickly identify the rotting apples or the rot.
Yes,
you want to call it that, and get rid of it. And it could be, it's not necessarily that they're always bad people as well. It could be that they're just not a good fit.
Yes,
or
of course.
You will find bad people.
Yes,
because
you will.
Unfortunately, you do find bad people who are just their intent is to harm.
Yes,
unfortunately,
it will be nature.
It just is what it is. I'm glad. Maybe you can get this on video as well. I'm glad I have a business partner. I wouldn't call it a business partner, a partner for this project like Lely, because I am not a perfectionist. But Lely is. I am an agile guy. I'm like, let's just go and we'll figure it out as we go along. But Lely isn't. Lely wants to know the detail, to everything down to a T before we start. Everything needs to be on top. We're good? So Lely needs to know all the ins and outs before we press the red button and we're recording. He needs, and I'll clap now. Clapping. We're good. He needs, do you see? You need to get this on the podcast. Then, midway through recording, he needs to make sure it's there for the sound to pick it up. He will spend hours after going through bits.
You know why you clap, right?
Yes, I know why you clap. It's for the sound mark. Do you know how long I knew that? Monday afternoon, Monday evening, when I recorded the intro for the first episode. But you learn stuff as you go along. I am a bit of a maverick when it comes to this stuff. At work, I always surrounded myself with people who are perfectionists.
That's good.
Because they help me cover up.
That's good.
All the cracks I create.
Yes.
I am more of a big picture guy. I love looking at a project and figuring out the potholes and I know that's my strength and I'm good at that, and figuring out the problems and solving them and rallying the right people around the right problem and knocking. I've had a very good mentor that used to say, in business there's a lot of walls you need to bang your head against. The difference between a good and a bad businessman is, or good and bad business, is knowing which wall to bang your head against. Some walls you just have to leave them be.
That's good.
And knock your head against the walls that you know are going to fall down.
That's good.
That was very good advice.
I like that.
And then he used to be like, my job as a leader is to put on. I would love to have him on this podcast one day. He's already said yes, but he lives in the UK, so whenever he's over, I will get him on. He said, as a manager, my job, or as a leader, as a director, my job is to put on the big, pointy finger, when they're like at baseball games,
yes,
and point that finger on the problem, and then have the right people to solve it.
That's good.
As a director, as a director of a big company within the bank. But yes, definitely. We talked about a lot of interesting stuff. We lost some of the videotape, unfortunately, but again, I am not worried about it. Lele will fix his magic, and we'll put something in there. We'll put We'll put a video of you with the bearded lady. That's if we can find it.
Nice.
We can find it, actually.
That's because of the surface area. I took more gigabytes.
That's actually. You know what? That is factual from now on. That is the excuse I'm going to give. But no, like, in all seriousness, thank you for giving us your time.
You are very well.
Everyone's time is very valuable, and people giving me their time is a big privilege. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being yourself. I am way more relaxed than I was in the first episode, partly because I've done the first episode, and secondly because you are very relaxed as well, and it's an infectious attitude. I'm probably still fidgety when we look back at the tape. Then we'll be like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
You are not.
Do you think so?
Nope.
Maybe. We'll see. I am the least and the most confident person I know, apparently. But no, thank you for coming. One last message to the world. What is your one, if you had to give one message, it doesn't have to be about work, think about it. One message to the world, one message that your kids will see when they're older, one message to everyone across the world. Go.
Learn how to have work-life balance.
Okay. Why?
Because it's important. Everything is important in your life, if it's in your life. So someone like me who has businesses and at the same time has a family, you have to have time for both. Always. Balance is very, very important, which is something that I am still learning.
I think we all are. Right? It's just finding the right.
Exactly.
And you never find it, huh? Because it
No.
depends. But
No. But that is the message that I would give.
Awesome.
And find a great partner like I do. My wife, who can actually support you and...
I describe my partner, Zoe, as the perfect person for me.
Exactly.
Because I get very excited. I start running.
Chalk and cheese.
Yes.
Chalk and cheese. Whoever invented opposites attract. It's me and my...
$1 million idea. Same.
Exactly.
My partner is the opposite. She is reserved. She doesn't like talking about herself. She doesn't interrupt people. She doesn't. She's very creative, which I am not. Absolutely. Listen. Give her the most rudimentary items, and she will create something incredible. Ludwig, she planned a party she planned our work party this year. She was given the reins. She went under budget, which was great. So she didn't spend all the money she was given, and she made kick-ass stuff party. Genuinely, I am in awe of this person. Cut that out. I don't want her to hear it. But honestly, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Dad.
Mr. Bombastic, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Worldwide.
The love.
Mr. Lobo. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll hope to see you again here.
So too.
And this was a great...
I will be very happy to come back.
Thank you.
Super.